Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this webinar, which is dedicated to the Lyfo one number reach functionality, which is part of the overall Lyfo mobility management portfolio. My name is Bob. I look after sales at Lyfo, and today I will be your host, together with my colleague Jeroen, who is also present in the meeting today. And if you want to introduce yourself, Jeroen, please go ahead.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Jeroen Stoker. I'm product manager at Lyfo, and I've been involved with the product since the inception. For today, I'm here to answer any technical questions about the one number reach feature, and I'll show you a brief demonstration of the feature in comparison to normal handset behavior. Please feel free to post any questions you have during the presentation and demonstration in the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Jeroen. So today we are going to follow a relatively simple agenda. We will obviously begin with the challenge that we want to address. Then we will dive into the Lyfo solution to deal with that challenge. And this will be followed by a demonstration driven by Jeroen on this call. And if any of you has questions, please feel free to post them. We have reserved some time towards the end of the webinar to address them, and this will be dedicated time for answers. So without further ado, let's begin with the challenge. So first of all, I think we can all agree that there is a global fact, which is that we live in an imperfectly connected world. Here on the right-hand side, you can see some headlines, which I've taken from various newspapers around the globe, and which concern outages, network outages that occurred over just the last few months. You can see examples from Australia, from the UK, from the US, from France, and this affected leading operators, large ones. This has happened, and we know it will happen again. It's the awful truth. It's the reality of networks. Now, those very events made the headlines because they were impacting large numbers of people, vast geographies, and lasted quite a long time. But we also know that there are other network connectivity issues that everybody suffers from, which don't make the headlines. This is just the tip of the iceberg. To illustrate this, I'm listing here a few network connectivity issues that can affect one's experience. I'm not going to dive into each and every one of them, but everybody has had that experience of not being able to make a call or send a text message. And this can be due to some of those factors which have to do, for example, with the network itself. Maybe it's going through some maintenance, some upgrade, it's suffering from congestion, or it can have to do with where you are simply. Maybe you're in an area with no coverage from your preferred operator. Or maybe you're in an area with too much coverage from multiple operators, like a border area. Another case might be that you are indoors and you were connected to an outdoor antenna, and now there's poor indoor penetration and you get no coverage. All those cases are diverse, and the worst is even when you're not getting any connectivity, but you see someone next to you has connectivity. That's really frustrating. The common factor of all those root causes is that there's not much you can do, you as the end user, about them. All you can do is wait until it improves. Now, to illustrate the impact this may have on a business or a mission, I'll just take a few examples. I'll start with the case of a nurse visiting their patients at their homes. He or she probably needs to get in touch with their base and also interact with the patient. The fact of the matter is they cannot predict what coverage would look like from patient A to patient B. So how can they be reachable at all times? Another example is the case of a salesperson traveling the country, visiting with customers. They have their preferred operator on their phone, and then they reach their office, and they're lucky enough to have a very nice private network inside the building. So their phone connects to the private network. What happens if someone wants to reach them? If they want to reach them on their phone number, they cannot, because the phone is connected to the private network. And the last example I wanted to give was the case of those road inspection people. These are staff that spend their day on the road to inspect the roads, and they know from experience what the coverage looks like on those roads. They know what segments are properly covered by their preferred operator. And oftentimes what they end up doing is they bring a second SIM card just in case. And on the side of the road, they have to juggle with SIM cards, juggle with phone numbers. It's very impractical, prone to errors, it's very risky as well when you're on the side of the road. So the common factor between all those cases I've listed is that whether it's a business or a mission, voice and SMS access is the last resort, the last lifeline for these users, and they cannot afford to have to pull their hair to find a connection. And we asked ourselves, is this just isolated examples, or what's the extent of this need for SMS and voice as a last resort? So to answer that question, we ran a small survey. We ran it on LinkedIn. So the statistical value can always be discussed, but still, we wanted to bring the question to your attention, which is, we live in an all data world. Data is everywhere. So how crucial is it to have uninterrupted access to voice calls and SMS for your business or your mission? And the choices were extremely important, very important, moderately important, or not important. So if you have an opinion on those, feel free to send 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat window. We can always integrate this in our statistics later on. But for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to share with you the outcome of the survey. And it turns out that, as we expected, but it is confirmed, 3/4 roughly of respondents believe it's very important or extremely important. I see one participant has just voted very important as well. A mere 10% thought, no, it's not very important. Okay, fine, but we all agree that the vast majority think this last resort lifeline is essential. Now, if it is essential, and if people suffer from connectivity issues, even for voice and SMS, then the question is, can we improve this? Can we make people's life easier? Can we improve reachability for them? Now, I already mentioned the case of those guys inspecting the roads who travel with a second SIM card just in case, but as we discussed, it's very impractical because you have to make a decision when to use that SIM card. You have another phone number to deal with. People cannot call you on the first number. It's very cumbersome. So that's a challenge, an operational challenge. And that's what ONR is all about. This one number reach feature is the Lyfo solution. To explain how it works, I will use a small example that resembles a scenario I just mentioned. We'll take the case of, let's call him John Doe, who's driving an ambulance. And there's an agent in the office, in the control room, who needs to reach out to John Doe to assign them to some mission. Maybe there's an accident somewhere, so they want to reach them on the phone, or maybe just text them the location of the accident. So the way they do this, they have a directory, they have John Doe's name and phone number. They just click and it places the call. And John Doe is a smart guy, so he's like the inspection guys. He's got this second SIM card just in case. But when things go the way they should go, what happens is that the agent calls John Doe, the connection is established, and the call is carried over the network of operator number 1. I say the call, it can be SMS as well, both ways, and John Doe can respond. All this goes through SIM number 1. But if some issue occurs and network number 1 goes away, then what happens is ONR kicks in. We automatically swap the SIM cards so that the call can now be established not through network number 1, but it will be established through network number 2. The key thing is that neither the agent nor John Doe need to make a decision as to which direction they should send the call or the text message. This is all handled by ONR transparently, so both the agent and John Doe can focus on their mission. Now, referring back to the examples I was giving, there are multiple use cases. It can be similar to this one or to the nurse example, a case for moving from a preferred mobile operator to another mobile operator as a backup. It can also have to do with the scenario I was describing of a salesperson coming from the outside and connecting to their private network, wanting to use their phone while they are connected to the private network. This is all off the shelf working. It's an industrial solution. As a matter of fact, this was demonstrated as recently as last November in Paris during an event dedicated to private networks. We had the opportunity to showcase this feature with a French operator called SFR. So in a nutshell, what ONR does is, as mentioned here, take control of the SIM number, make sure that Lyfo will automatically switch to the backup SIM, enable voice and SMS to be carried over that secondary SIM, while maintaining the same phone number throughout the call, and the same user dialer, phone dialer can be used to place the call. We have a small statement here from that event I was referring to from SFR that demonstrated during that event that yes, if you have your mobile phone subscription and you're not connected to your network, your public network, you can still make a phone call or send text messages when you're connected to your private network. Now, this is a lot of introduction, but now it's time to look into the practical demo. And for this, I will hand over the presenter role to my colleague, Jeroen.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, for the demonstration, we've made a short video. What we're going to be doing in this demonstration is we show you 3 devices in a similar state. They are different in the fact that the first device on the left side will have only an Odido SIM, which was previously T-Mobile Netherlands. The device that will be shown in the center has an Odido SIM card and a data-only backup SIM card with Lyfo Net enabled. And the device on the right side of the screen will have an Odido SIM card and a data-only backup SIM, but no Lyfo Net. The devices have been placed in a Faraday cage where we can easily simulate adverse network events. And in this case, we're going to simulate a coverage failure on the Odido network. As mentioned at the start, we'll disable the signal for Odido, so all 3 devices will quickly lose coverage of the network. As you can see on the phone in the middle, Lyfo will quickly take action as the signal drops. The NQI is going down in the center. There we go. It's on the second SIM here. The other devices are slowly falling off the network, while the device in the middle already established the backup calling link with ONR. The first device is offline, while the middle device is already being called. Other devices are unable to call at this time. After some time, the device on the right will automatically switch the data to the backup SIM before falling off briefly and then reconnecting the data. Still, it cannot be called without the ONR functionality. And in the device in the middle, the calls are being placed as normal from the user perspective using the native dialer. As you can see, neither of the devices on the outer sides are able to place or receive calls at this moment, so they're completely offline. Compared to other possible solutions, such as VoIP or call forwarding, ONR offers market advantages as there is no external dependency added to the chain and everything is handled via the native dialer, maintaining the user experience on the device. Thank you for your attention, and I'll hand you back over to Bob.
Thanks a lot, Jeroen, for this comprehensive demo. So in a nutshell, to summarize what we've just seen and what ONR brings in terms of benefit is, first of all, we maximize reachability for the user with their primary subscription, their primary phone number. Calls and SMSs are handled with that single number. No need to change numbers even when flipping over to another network. And most importantly, no user intervention is needed. Everything is automatically orchestrated by ONR, by the Lyfo ONR functionality, so that the user on both ends of the call can focus on their business or mission and not have to worry about phone settings and phone performance. Now, based on that, we wanted to now move into a more interactive part of the presentation, which is to address some of your questions. To that end, we will now take a look at what's in the chat. Are there any questions in the Q&A section? So one user is asking, is it proven? So the answer is yes, it is proven. Well, first of all, as stated in the beginning, ONR is one feature set of the LifoNet solution. And LifoNet has been operational for several years now, has been in the field for quite a number of users across different countries. And ONR itself has been commercially available for over a year now, and it is functional indeed. So yes, if you want to use it, you're more than welcome to reach out and ask for the feature for your LifoNet license. Another question.
Yes.
When does it
When
switch
does it
back to the
switch?
primary SIM? That's a good one for you, Jeroen.
Yeah, I was picking it up and then we interrupted each other. Lovely.
Oh, sorry.
No, indeed, it will switch back as soon as the primary SIM is connected again and has established a link to the home network, or is on a roaming network and has established its own phone link again. And the data connectivity will switch back shortly thereafter, depending on the quality of the first network. So voice is completely automatic, and as soon as it's available again, data follows shortly thereafter once the quality is enough.
If I may add to this, this is a key element in the value of the LifoNet solution, in the sense that we maximize the use of your primary network. We're not in the business of switching you to just any network all the time and making you switch from multiple networks to other networks. We're in the business of maximizing your use of your preferred one so that you can keep your costs under control. You spend most of your time on your favorite network. Luckily, it's still the best one for you. Can I use it with my Vodafone SIM? Yes. It's actually meant to be used with any network. There are different flavors of our LifoNet solution. So the way to use it with your Vodafone SIM may vary depending on the type of device you have and so on. But yes, there's no restriction as to which operators can be used with the LifoNet solution.
After that, as long as the operator does have a contract with LifoNet, because we do need to enable settings for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, indeed. What happens during a video call, for example, a Teams call? That's for you.
Yeah, you can imagine that in a very similar use case to you switching to a Wi-Fi environment. So if you have a Teams call ongoing and you walk into a building where there's Wi-Fi, you'll get a brief hiccup while the call reconnects, and then it continues as normal. For LifoNet, the behavior is the same.
Thank you, Jeroen. So a user needs 3 subscriptions, MNO1, MNO2, and LifoNet. So no. First of all, LifoNet is, yes, it is a subscription, but it's not a mobile subscription. It's an application, and everything that has to do with connectivity is handled by the SIM cards. And if you have a primary operator, yes, you have a subscription with that operator. And of course, the backup SIM also has a subscription tied to it. Now, depending on the business model, you might get that second subscription directly from another operator, or you might get everything from a single supplier. For example, in the Netherlands, Odito is our distributor, and Odito is distributing a turnkey package, which includes the Odito subscription, the backup subscription, and the LifoNet application. So it's all one bundle, and you don't have to juggle with multiple subscriptions from different vendors. In case of a cloud-based telephone solution, does ONR still work?
Well, we've tested it with several cloud-based solutions, and so far we've not run into any issues, but I can't make a blanket statement that it will work with any of them. So that would be up to testing.
Okay, so probably we need to take this separately if that user wants to reach out and ask us about their specific cloud-based solution. We can explore that with them. Okay. Can it be used on iOS devices?
At presently, we don't have a ready turnkey Apple solution yet. We've unfortunately been working with Apple for a while, but they are not at the same level of support for these features as Android is. We are working on this with one of our teams to make it possible, but we don't have anything right now. It should be coming hopefully later this year or early next year.
Okay, so in the works. Thank you, Jeroen. What about eSIMs?
eSIMs are fully supported, so there's no question there.
Okay, an eSIM is a SIM, so okay, it doesn't matter whether it's physical or eSIM. We actually have several customers using LifoNet as we speak, using an eSIM, and it works perfectly fine.
I think there was also one question in the Q&A channel.
Oh, okay. Just one popped up. Is there any roaming fees in the backup calls? Well, the fees that go together with the backup calls are the fees of the subscription of that backup SIM. So it really depends on what SIM you're using. If you're using the solution from Odito, for example, it's all part of the package. You have one subscription for the backup SIM from Odito, and that's what you pay. If you decide to use your own backup SIM, then it's your own backup SIM fee. Does this work on any device or only some mobile handsets? So I think maybe we can refine this between there's the notion of device and then there's the notion of handset, which is slightly different. Maybe you want to take that, Jeroen?
Yeah, well, let's focus for now on phones because I don't see many people calling with IoT devices or mobile routers. That's an interesting one then. But for mobile phones, well, as said, there's currently no support for Apple yet. So currently only Android. The feature needs at minimum an Android 12 installation on the device. And we've had the best experiences with Samsung devices and Google Pixel devices. All the other vendors are working on this feature and most have a basic implementation, but it's not always as reliable yet for full functionality. So best use case uses Samsung in our view at the moment.
And actually, this question was the same one from the Q&A channel, so that one's covered. Can I get a test or friendly user SIM? Yes, on paper it's feasible. I guess you can reach out to us and tell us about your use case, and we can look at what sort of test you want to conduct. It can be a very basic one or more extensive one. I want to mention that we do have multiple POCs running where we spend sometimes weeks, if not months, going through all sorts of test plans and so on. So really it depends on the scope of what you want to test. But let's say technically speaking, yes, you can get some test SIMs and licenses. Any other question? No?
I think we've probably answered them all.
Okay. Well, if there are no further questions, just want to mention that the presentation material will be shared with you after the event. We'll send you a link to the video. We could probably come up also with a PDF of the slides so you can share with your peers. This will also be useful for those who registered but who could not join. So we'll be happy to share that with them. We want to thank you for your time today. And again, don't hesitate to reach out with your specific use cases. If you want to explore some business with us, we all ears. You have our details at the end of the slide deck. Sorry, I just skipped that slide where we were advocating our partnership with Odido in the Netherlands. And if you want to reach out, please do so through the contact details here, sales@lyfo.com, or any other means through our website. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Jeroen, for your help here. And thank you to my peers also who helped organize this event. Good day to everybody.